In a forgotten village at the edge of the forest, beneath the midday sun and surrounded by the ancient drumbeats of tradition, a tribal elder slammed his staff into the earth and screamed that the president of the nation carried death with him. That the spirits had turned their backs on his leadership. That his rule would rot the land, and his name would be cursed for generations. Hundreds watched. The soldiers tightened their grip on their rifles. Villagers froze. A collective gasp tore through the silence. They had seen this scene before: dissent crushed, critics silenced, elders dragged away. In most stories, this is where the man in power shows his strength by silencing the one who dared to speak. But this time, the man in power did something nobody expected. He listened. And what followed, from that moment in the red dust of Gallo to the broken bridge, to the chopper blade slicing through a coup attempt in the capital, would change everything. A nation poisoned, a conspiracy exposed, and a president forced to confront not just his enemies, but his own government. This is not the story of a man who ruled from a palace, this is the story of a man who walked into the fire, bled in the mud, and pulled his people back from the edge of ruin, one bag of grain at a time. So before we dive in, ask yourself, what would your leader do if he was cursed in front of the nation? Would he punish the old man, or would he ask, "Show me the blood"? The village of Gallo wasn't on any tourist map. It lay hidden deep in the southern forest, surrounded by towering ironwood trees and narrow red dirt paths that twisted through the bush like veins. No power lines. No cell towers. No government presence. Just smoke rising from cooking fires and the quiet hum of survival. For generations, Gallo had lived by the old ways, honoring the spirits of the forest, following the wisdom of elders, and trusting the rhythm of nature. But something had shifted. The drums no longer sounded right. The elders whispered in hushed voices. Children fell sick too often. Cattle died too easily. The river, once sacred, now smelled like rot. Then came the news: President Ibrahim Traoré was coming. No one believed it at first. Presidents don't visit places like Gallo. The roads are too bad. The people too poor. Too forgotten. But on that blistering afternoon, a dust-covered convoy appeared on the horizon. Military trucks rumbling through the trees, raising clouds that choked the air. At the center, a figure stepped out. Beret. Fatigues. Eyes that missed nothing. He didn't come with speeches or banners. He came with a mission. The villagers gathered in a wide circle. Men with calloused hands. Women in vibrant wraps. Children peeking out from behind their mothers. And at the center sat the Council of Elders, the spiritual heart of the region. At their head, Chief Bamogo, 80 years old, skin like bark, eyes sharp as razors. Ibrahim approached the circle with respect. He carried a small bundle, kola nuts, a traditional peace offering. As he neared, the air went still. No birds. No breeze. Just tension. Then Chief Bamogo rose. He did not smile, that he did not extend his hand, instead, he raised his ironwood staff and slammed it into the earth. "You bring a dark cloud with you," the elder roared, pointing a trembling finger at Ibrahim's chest. "Do not step closer. Your power is hollow. The spirits reject you. You speak of saving the nation, but you let the heart of our land rot." A gasp rippled through the crowd. "I curse your administration," Bamogo bellowed. "I curse the day you took power, if you cannot see the blood on the ground right here." The word struck like lightning. For a moment, time stopped. Soldiers tensed. Hands moved to weapons. Women shielded their children. This wasn't just an insult. In this culture, a public curse from a tribal elder was a spiritual death sentence. The kind of act that gets people arrested. Or worse. The security team stepped forward. And then Ibrahim did something unthinkable. He raised his hand. "Stand down," he ordered. The soldiers froze. Confused. Hesitant. He took one step forward. Then another. Right over the invisible line drawn by the elder's staff. The villagers held their breath. Chief Bamogo braced for the blow. For handcuffs. For humiliation. But Ibrahim didn't shout that he didn't threaten that he asked one question, quietly, but powerfully. "Which blood, Papa? Show me the blood." The elder did not answer right away. His finger lowered, but his eyes stayed locked on the president. His chest heaved with fury, but something behind that rage had shifted, confusion, maybe even a flicker of hope. "You asked to see," Bamogo rasped. "Most leaders cover their eyes. You asked to look." Ibrahim nodded. "I am looking now." The chief turned slowly, then pointed to the eastern tree line, a thick wall of green that concealed something darker. "The Black River," he said. "It gave us life. Now it gives us death." Without hesitation, Ibrahim gave the order, "Take me there." His advisors balked. His security chief protested. "Mr. President, it's not on the schedule. The area is unsecured. There's a banquet waiting in the capital." Ibrahim didn't flinch. He unbuckled his tactical vest and tossed it into a jeep. "Cancel the banquet," he said. "If these people walk through poison, I will walk through it, too." They followed the elder into the forest. No motorcades. No press. Just boots in the dirt and eyes in the trees. After 20 minutes of silent hiking, the stench hit first, sharp and unnatural, like sulfur and death. Then they emerged from the trees. The Black River was no longer black. It was sickly brown, choked with orange foam that clung to the banks like infection. Trees nearby had withered into skeletal frames. Fish floated belly up in the sludge. And there, in the heart of the destruction, sat the culprits, massive mining machines, still roaring, still tearing at the earth. Ibrahim's face darkened. "Who did this?" he asked. "The machines," Bamogo replied bitterly. 2 years ago, men came in trucks. They claimed to be government partners, said they would mine gold to build the nation. They dug up the riverbanks. Poured chemicals into the water. Promised schools. Clinics. They gave us poison. Murmurs swept through the villagers. The fear that had gripped them was shifting, now it was sorrow. And then a young woman stepped forward. In her arms, a small bundle of cloth. She unwrapped it slowly. Inside was a pair of tiny sandals. "My son," she whispered, tears cutting paths through the dust on her cheeks. He was 6. He played in the water. Got sick. Fever burned him up. We buried him 3 days ago." Ibrahim's hand trembled as he reached out and touched the sandals. "I did not know," he said, voice barely above a whisper. "That is why I cursed you," Bamogo snapped, rage rekindled. "I sent letters. I sent my nephew to the governor's office. I begged for help. I told them the mining company was killing us. They laughed. Said it was authorized development." Ibrahim turned slowly. His eyes scanned his own team, the men in suits, the regional officials who had planned this trip. Then his gaze stopped. A man in a slick gray suit, sweating despite the shade. Governor Dio. "Come here," Ibrahim said. Dio froze. "Mr. President," he stammered. "These villagers, they don't understand modern industry. The contract is legal. It brings in tax revenue." "Shut up," Ibrahim said coldly. He turned back to the elder. "How far is the river?" 2 kilometers. Ibrahim's jaw tightened. "Lead the way, Papa." The heat pressed down like a curse as the group reached the poisoned riverbank. Ibrahim's boots sank slightly into the sludge. The roar of the mining machines drowned out everything else, the voices, the pain, the cries of the people. These weren't just backhoes and pumps. They were engines of betrayal. The president turned to the governor. "This is what you approved?" he asked, voice low. Governor Dio dabbed his sweaty forehead, avoiding eye contact. "Sir." The environmental report said the impact was minimal. I didn't know it was this bad." Ibrahim didn't respond. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his satellite phone. 3 words, "Send the helicopter." Then he walked toward the heart of the mining site, where a man in a hard hat and mirrored sunglasses stormed toward them, shouting over the engines. "This is private property," the man barked. "You can't be here. Get your little hiking party out before I call the police." He didn't recognize the president through the dust and chaos. Ibrahim turned to Governor Dio. "Introduce us." Dio swallowed hard. "Jacques, this is President Traoré." Jacques froze. His face drained of color. He looked past Ibrahim, at the soldiers flanking him, at the villagers watching, at the chaos he thought was hidden in this remote corner of the country. "Mr. President, I didn't realize." "Open the office," Ibrahim ordered. The site office was a portable steel cabin, air-conditioned and locked tight. Jacques fumbled for the keys. Inside were maps, contracts, and, in the corner, a heavy steel safe. "Open it," Ibrahim said. "I can't. Only the regional manager has the code." Ibrahim nodded to one of his men. The soldier stepped forward with a tactical crowbar. 2 vicious cracks later, the safe creaked open. Inside, stacks of cash, black binders, and something far more poisonous than chemicals, evidence. Ibrahim flipped through one binder. Pages of expenses. Bribes. Payouts. He read aloud. Chemical disposal, $0 local hush money, $5,000 consulting fee, Governor Dio, $20,000. Silence. Ibrahim turned slowly toward Dio. "You advised them to poison the river?" Dio stammered. "It wasn't, I didn't." Ibrahim snapped the binder shut and grabbed the governor by the collar. He dragged him outside, to the edge of the dying river. "Look at it," he shouted, shoving him forward. "This is your consulting." The villagers watched, stunned. They had never seen a governor dragged like a criminal. Never seen a president defend them, not in words, but in rage. Then came the sound, thump thump thump. The helicopter appeared over the tree line. It kicked up dust and leaves as it landed in the clearing. From it emerged a dozen military police officers, weapons drawn, eyes scanning. Ibrahim pointed at the miners. "Arrest them all. Seize every machine. If a single truck leaves this site, you answer to me." Then he pointed at Dio. "Put him in the helicopter. He's not flying back as a governor. He's flying back as a prisoner." The soldiers handcuffed the weeping official. But Ibrahim wasn't done. Back inside the office, he flipped to the last page of the binder. There it was, a name, circled in red. A payout 5 times larger than Dio's. The code name, the architect. And next to it, the real name. A man who sat on the High Council. A man Ibrahim had dined with last night. His most trusted advisor. The helicopter cut through the air like a blade, heading straight for the capital. Inside, Ibrahim sat quietly, the binder resting on his lap. Governor Dio sat handcuffed across from him, pale and shaking. Outside the window, the Orange River twisted below like a scar across the land. It wasn't just pollution anymore. It was proof of betrayal, of greed, of sabotage hiding behind polished suits and official stamps. As they neared the capital, a crackle came through the radio. "Sir, this is Palace Guard. We have unauthorized troop movement near the ministry. Unmarked vehicles. Armed. They're blocking the landing zone." Ibrahim's jaw tightened. "Sir, the coup wasn't a rumor. It's happening. Right now." The pilot's voice came next, panicked. "We need to divert, sir. We can reroute to the northern base. It's secure." Ibrahim stared out the window. Below, military trucks were flooding the ministry courtyard. Soldiers in unmarked uniforms, mercenaries, paid for with stolen gold, fanned out, forming a blockade. Beside him, Dio whispered, "They're going to kill us. They know I talked." Ibrahim didn't flinch. He adjusted his beret. Checked the chamber of his sidearm. "Do not divert," he said. "Land in the middle of them." "Sir." "I said land." The helicopter descended. Blades tore through the wind. On the ground, the mercenaries raised their rifles. The chopper touched down. For a moment, silence. Then the door slid open. Ibrahim stepped out, no suit, no podium, just boots caked in Gallo's red mud and eyes that burned with war. He walked straight into the line of guns. A mercenary captain stepped forward. "Halt. You are under." Ibrahim didn't stop. He walked until the rifle barrel pressed against his chest. "You are holding a weapon," he said, "paid for by the blood of our children. Lower it. Or I'll make sure you never lift it again." The mercenary hesitated. Then, slowly, he lowered his weapon. "Stand aside," Ibrahim ordered. The sea of soldiers parted. Inside the ministry, chaos. Staff fled, documents scattered. Ibrahim moved like a storm up the marble stairs to the top floor. At the door marked Senior Advisor, General Kabor, he didn't knock it, he kicked it open. Inside, Kabor stood by a shredder, feeding pages into the machine. He turned, startled, the mask of calm dropping for a second. "You're back early," he said, trying to recover. "Just clearing out old files." Ibrahim stepped forward and dropped the black binder onto the polished desk. The thud was final. "I saw the river," Ibrahim said. "I saw your name." Kabor's expression hardened. "You're a fool," he said. "You think you can run this country on dreams and dirt? That mining money paid for your security. It pays for the army. I kept the lights on. You sold your people. I kept the machine running." Ibrahim didn't raise his voice. He raised his phone. Kabor blinked. "Who did you call?" "I didn't call the police," Ibrahim replied. "I called the national radio station." He turned the screen. The red on-air icon glowed bright. "For the past 2 minutes, your voice has been broadcast live. The nation just heard your confession." Kabor turned pale. Outside, a roar began to rise, not wind, not sirens, people. Thousands pouring into the streets. Not in fear. In fury. Kabore sank into his chair, defeated. As military police cuffed him, he whispered. You think the water was the only thing we sold? Check the grain silos. They're empty. Famine is coming, and you can't shoot a famine. Ibrahim froze. The room, once filled with rage, now echoed with dread. The country was cheering justice. But they were days away from hunger. Silence. The roar outside the ministry grew louder, but inside the office, the air was still. Heavy. Cold. Ibrahim stared at the man being dragged away in cuffs. General Kabore, once his most trusted advisor. His words echoed like a second curse. Check the grain silos. They're empty. Famine is coming, and you can't shoot a famine. Ibrahim turned to his aide. Verify it. Now. Within the hour, he stood inside the National Grain Reserve, a warehouse the size of a football stadium in the eastern province. It was supposed to hold the nation's safety net, thousands of tons of maize, millet, sorghum. But as he flicked on his flashlight, the beam revealed only dust. Dust. And rats. The silence inside that empty space was louder than the gunfire at the river. Kabore hadn't lied. The food was gone, sold off to foreign markets in secret deals. The country had been robbed of its last defense against hunger, just as the dry season loomed. Outside, his young logistics officer approached, tablet in hand, face pale. Sir, the capital's markets have 3 days of stock left. Rural areas. Maybe 1 day. When this news gets out, panic will explode. Riots will start by tomorrow. Then we don't let the news get out, Ibrahim replied. We fix it before they even know they're in danger. But how? The officer asked, voice cracking. The treasury's empty. The courts are slow. The UN takes weeks. We're broke. Ibrahim didn't blink. We're not broke, he said. We have assets. He pointed to the nearby tarmac, where a military cargo plane stood waiting. Load the gold. The officer's eyes widened. Sir, the gold from the mine? It's evidence. It's supposed to go through legal channels. Courts don't feed children, Ibrahim said. Load it. All of it. 2 hours later, the cargo plane touched down in a neighboring country. There was no press. No podium. Just 2 presidents meeting in a hangar under flickering lights. President Kutta, known for his discipline and grain surplus, sat across the table from Ibrahim, arms crossed. You want 500 tons of grain, Kutta said. Loaded onto trucks, crossing the border tonight. Ibrahim, I respect you, but this isn't a charity. Your government is unstable. If I give you this on credit, I may never see a single franc. I'm not asking for credit. Ibrahim signaled. His guard set down a steel crate on the table and unlocked it. Inside, pure, unrefined gold. The stolen treasure of Gallo. The price of betrayal. Now, the price of survival. This gold was taken from my people, Ibrahim said. Now I'm using it to buy their lives back. Weigh it. Take it all. Just give me the trucks. Kutta looked at the gold, then at the man across from him, exhausted, unshaven, but unbroken. A man not trading gold for power, or luxury, but for food. Kutta stood. Done. By nightfall, a convoy of 200 trucks loaded with grain rumbled down the highway toward the border. It looked like a river of steel and salvation. Ibrahim rode in the lead vehicle, determined to personally deliver the first bag to the hardest-hit village. The nation wouldn't starve, not on his watch. But just as the trucks approached the narrow mountain pass that connected the border to the provinces, a voice crackled over the scout radio. "Sir, stop the convoy. Immediately." Ibrahim grabbed the radio. "What is it?" "The Tiora Bridge, sir, it's gone. Blown to pieces. There's nothing left." Ibrahim jumped from the truck. He ran to the cliff's edge. Where there once was a massive bridge, the only path to the starving villages, there was now a 300-foot gap. A canyon. A river roaring below. They had blown it up. The deep state's final move, not to kill the food, but to strand it. And 50 miles away, the first riots were beginning. Time was up. The bridge was gone. Chunks of concrete hung from twisted rebar like broken bones. A yawning gap stretched over 300 feet across the canyon, with a river roaring below like a furious beast. The grain truck stood frozen on the mountain road. Engines idling. Engines waiting. Behind them, salvation; ahead of them, nothing. Ibrahim stood on the cliff's edge, jaw clenched. The sun was sinking fast. Every passing minute meant less daylight, and more panic in the villages below. His chief engineer, Sergeant Dio, rushed forward with a field tablet. "Sir, we need at least 3 weeks to construct a temporary bridge. Maybe a month. And that's if we get the equipment here in time." "We don't have a month," Ibrahim replied. "We don't have a week. We don't even have a night." The wind howled. Rain began to fall. And then Ibrahim saw them, the thick steel cables, still hanging from the wrecked bridge towers. Frayed. Old. But maybe, still strong enough. An idea sparked. Not a safe one. Not even a sane one. But the only one. "We're not building a bridge," he said. "We're going to swing the cargo across." "Swing?" the engineer blinked. "Sir, that cable can't hold a truck. It'll snap." "Not the trucks," Ibrahim said. "Just the grain. One bag at a time." He turned to the soldiers and villagers behind him. "We form a human chain. Rig a pull."